I'm going to get canceled right now for this take, but I'm going to be real here. I'm going to be super, super real. I'm sort of fine with ageism in software engineering. I know. Whoa, what do you mean? Actually, I'm completely fine with it. Here's the deal, but it's kind of reverse ageism, if you will. I really, really like working with people older than me. Got them. Okay, real talk. You know why? It's because often they've seen so much of life that when they come to make decisions and all that, they make really great decisions. Okay? That's typically been my experience. Not all the time, though. Sometimes it sucks, but I find more often than not, it's pretty dang good. And so I love experience. Now, that's the thing is it's really experience speaking, but it's not just experience. It's more than experience because there's people that are very, very intelligent. 17-year-old software engineer is both wise and intelligent because he's wise enough to understand that he should be applying his unlimited amount of free time to learning something that's actually valuable to learn, and B, he's intelligent enough to be able to do this. So, okay, this is great. This is very, very nice. But still, 17 to 26 is like the stupidest years of your life, okay? You're chock full of hormones and your frontal cortex hasn't even fully formed yet, okay? It's not my fault. It's just that you can't make good decisions, okay? It's like, I'm sorry. Welcome to your body. You make the worst decisions between those times. Hey, take that back. It's not my fault your brain ain't formed, okay? That's your fault. That's your fault. Okay, here we go. Anyways, getting canceled, any percent speed run, challenging ageism as a 17-year-old software engineer. I'm sure it's actually really hard as 17-year-old to be able to try to get respected. I'm sure there's a lot of difficulty with that. I don't think I'm not sure how bad that is. I think that I think there's something to that we should be careful about. You know, there's kind of like an obsession with youth in our culture, at least in, United States culture. And so is it always good to be focused on youth? There's things that are really good about people who've seen the world a little bit. All right, for example, I really love Golang these days, and I want to work with it. Hey, I like Golang too. Let's go. When I try to nominate myself for a position, in 9 out of 10 cases on average, I get rejections. And you know what? They don't even want to listen just because of my age. It's 90% damn. And for this reason, age. How do you know? This article started right out. This article just started right in the middle of a sentence, and I'm just trying to get into it. You know what I mean? All right. Hey there, fellow tech enthusiasts. My name is Kenji, and I'm on a mission to show the world that age is just a number in the realm of software engineering. I actually disagree with this. Age is not just a number. I do think experience is very, very important, but not just experience. Living long enough to live through a few hype cycles is really, really important. I think that the hype cycle is a really big and important thing to live through. Like I think that what you needed to do, why I think a lot of these older engineers are so can be really awesome is that they had to implement SOAP, and SOAP was the future. And none of us implement SOAP. You know why? Because they all implemented SOAP. They saw the disaster, and then they avoided us going off that cliff. You know what I mean? There's something there. There's something very valuable about that. We're not using XML. I mean, okay, those who use Visual Studio still use XML. Loser! But the rest of us don't use XML, okay? We use TOML, okay? TOML's great. XML's for stupid people. TOML's fantastic. Hailing from Ukraine, I've embarked on a path that's not only about coding, but also about breaking stereotypes and proving that passion and skill know no age boundaries. In some sense, it does know. I mean, again, to become great at something, the whole 10,000 hours thing, it does take just time, right? Just pure time. If you're wondering about my knowledge in tech stack, well, you have it. Golang, Rust, Node.js, JavaScript, TypeScript, Elixir, Python. But that's not where it ends. I've also dabbled in C, C++, Lua. Classic NeoVim user right here. Classic. You can see the NeoVim user just forming as we speak, and others. Just to keep things interesting, my days are filled with lines of code, debugging sessions, and exhilarating satisfaction of solving problems, and of course, learning and exploring more and more. My love for programming runs deep, and it's not just about code itself. It's about crafting solutions and seeing possibilities where others might see roadblocks. And of course, there's my beautiful NeoVim. Let's go! You knew it! You could feel it! You could just feel classic NeoVim user. You could just feel it, right? I could just taste it. I knew it! On my Rice Linux, a testament to my dedication to creating a workspace that's both functional and inspiring. Age is just a number, right? But does he use Arch? That's a great question. I don't know. I will say there is something like one of my favorite, I still recall my favorite project I ever worked with anybody ever on in the entirety of my career was with a intern. He must have been 17, 18 years old. Nathan, he looked 14. I don't know. Anyways, he was very young. Dude, I would just like set some bounds and he would run, clobber through all the bounds and just make stuff. And some of it was just horrible. Some of it was amazing. And he just loved building stuff. And it was one of the funnest times I've ever had. We deleted a lot of code. We made a lot of mistakes. We went the wrong direction a couple times. But nonetheless, that was like my favorite time, just because it's so much fun working with people who equally want to do something great. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there is something there is something in here that, you know what doesn't, I mean, what actually does know, something that does know age boundaries is typically like excitement or passion, right? Your passion wanes as you get older because you've just seen enough of it that you probably don't need to keep seeing the same thing over and over again. I get that, right? Like there's going to come a point where I'll be bored of programming. I won't want to do it anymore. It's just part of life. Like it's just something that happens to all people. And I don't think it's bad because we're not destined to be eternal here, right? That's why everything that glows bright starts to lose its glow over time. Now, let's tackle the elephant in the room, using Arch Linux, ageism. I really want to hear more about this NeoVim setup. Judging NeoVim setup in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's quite amusing, really. While I'm busy juggling multiple languages, frameworks, and projects, some folks still find themselves hung up on my age. Yes, I'm just 17 years old, and no, that's not a typo. But here's the kicker. My age has no correlation with my skills or passion. It has to have some correlation because you spent the last year doing things, or the last 2 years, or the last 3 years, or the last 4 years, right? Like, you have to, like, I don't feel like he's seeing the fact that he's saying all these languages, you can't learn all of those in a day, right? If you could learn everything in a day, I would agree. Age has no relation to skills, right? I would completely agree on you, but like to be good at Rust is kind of a multi-year thing. I'm okay at Rust. I'd put myself in the okay. I can use arc mutexes. You know, dude, I literally spam mutaces, okay? I'm just like a Zerg player. I'm just mutaces, gallons of them, flying everywhere. Like, I can kind of Rust, you know what I mean? It's funny how some people assume that youth automatically equals inexperience, illiteracy, I don't know about that last one, amount of knowledge, etc. I've encountered my fair share of raised eyebrows and skeptical glances, as if the number of years I've been alive has some magical ability to determine my capability. It's a function. It's a function of time. I mean, I agree. I agree in the sense that if you spent all of your time since 12 years old absolutely crushing ass in the software development world, by the time you're 17, you're a pretty badass developer, and you will totally be judged by age, despite the fact that you probably don't deserve nearly the judgment as you do. But you're still 17. It's very, like, it's, when I was 17, when I was 20, when I was 22, it was impossible to tell me about how life was going to be when I was in my 30s, right? You couldn't tell me because I couldn't hear. I didn't have ears to hear because I just simply haven't achieved that level of understanding or being able to look back on life. It's very hard to explain. And so, like, there's more than just simply time in the saddle programming. There's also just life lived. There's something about, so this part's down. Okay, so my earlier take probably won't get me canceled, but this one probably will. There's something about having to wake up at 1 a.m. and change poopy diapers and having a kid decide that they're not going to go to bed until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. that happens multiple nights in a row, and then you have to go into work and perform well, and you have to do all this crap. There's something about that will cool how you look at people in a different way, right? And I don't mean that in, I do mean that actually in the most obvious way. It's just that living life in a way that you can't live for yourself makes you change how you live, in general. And so when you're 17, you pretty much exclusively live for yourself. So I think that it's very easy, especially at that younger age, to look at people and to make snap judgments a lot easier. Just because you haven't experienced maybe a larger set of stuff. And so I think he's absolutely right that no matter how talented he is, he will always be judged for being 17. And I feel bad for that. Absolutely. We can all feel bad for that. Even if he is fantastic and he's super wise and all those things and is a really good developer. But at the end of the day, we do that because it's, for the most part, you wouldn't be wrong, right? I'm just going to say you're not going to be wrong, and I totally understand why people make that judgment. Feels bad for him, though. Keep on pushing. I hope he keeps on growing, and I hope you definitely, because there's a lot of stuffs in here that makes me feel like maybe you got some time to think about how you bring up people. And maybe it feels like you might be a bit on your snap judgments here. So here's to the fellow techies who are navigating ageism while juggling complex code bases. Remember, your passion, your skills, and your dedication are the true markers of success. This is true. As time goes on, if you can maintain these things, you will, just by the sheer dint of doing that, you will start gaining ground, and you'll start actually making great contributions, and eventually you'll have great things. My mom always says, the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know why? And I think she's right. My mom lived through, she had a horrible life in some sense in her 30s. My dad died when I was young. She had to take on the responsibility of raising 3 kids while declaring bankruptcy. My brother became a meth head. I kind of got lost there for a little bit. My sister ended up having, some problems medically. Right, a lot of things all came up. And my mom just kept telling me, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And she did a great job. My mom is a dang saint, and I genuinely love her very, very much for shaping who I am. Yeah, love her very much. And so I agree with this. If you can remember these things and you can hold on to them long enough, things do change. May not change at the moment, but they do change. Let's continue to prove that age is but a footnote in our journey towards innovation and excellence. And to this, who can still wrap their heads around the idea of a 17-year-old back-end developer? Well, I'll be here, coding away, leaving ageism in the digital dust. Thanks for reading the article. Thanks, Kenji. I appreciate that. I think it's a good. I think you're doing a great job focusing on some good things. If I could give any advice, it is to recognize that people are going to have different opinions about things. And that your struggle is a struggle that's probably going to help shape you and make you into something great. And so looking at it as if it's like there's these people that are ignorant versus people that understand, maybe not the right way. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing something out there. Okay, hey, the name is the Primogen.